My boyfriend caught me having alone time in the bedroom with my toys. Now he can barely talk with me. How can I fix this? I am 27 and I like to masturbate. Doesn't mean I'm not sexually satisfied with my partner. Sometimes a person has just got to give their genitals a little one-on-one. My boyfriend, he is 30. He is normally very level-headed and sweet. We've been together for 3 years. Really not many issues, just the normal bickering now that we live together. Sometimes I want to throw a glass plate at his head and laugh manically, and I'm sure he feels the same sometimes. Normal relationship stuff. We've never talked much about masturbation, but I know he does it and I figured he knew the same. I don't give a shit about him looking at porn and furiously masturbating to it as long as it doesn't replace me or become an addiction. Other than that, fap away, I say. I look at porn. I'm straight, but I get off big time to lesbian porn. Females are just sexy as hell. But I have tried to have sex with women before, and it turns out that it's all about the fantasy for me. I can tackle my own lady parts with finesse, but someone else's, not so much. Me telling you this has relevancy, sorry. So anyway, about a month ago I was really going to town. When I know I have time, I make it a pretty big ordeal. Lots of toys. My boyfriend wasn't supposed to be home for 2 more hours. I was spread eagle on the bed. Going to town. I had lesbian porn playing on the TV from my laptop. My boyfriend, we'll call him Evan, just stood there for a few seconds, shocked. I stopped for a second and then I said something like, "Wanna join?" and kept, well, banging myself. I thought he'd think it was hot. If I'd walked in on him and he'd asked me to join, I would have gladly hopped right in. It would have been a turn on to find him like that. He said I was disgusting and he left. Like just turned around, out of the bedroom, out of the apartment. Gone. For hours without answering his phone. WTF? When he finally got home, he wouldn't talk to me and asked me to leave him alone. I did. So, the next morning I couldn't shut up any longer and I asked why on earth he was mad at me. It turned into this huge blowout fight about how he always thought I was satisfied, but obviously not, and that he'd never seen me enjoy myself that much with him. Not true. Then he brought up the lesbian porn. He started asking if I was gay and if this had been something I'd been hiding from him. I told him he was being ridiculous, that having sex with him is always better and preferred over masturbation, totally true, and that no, I was not gay. I told him that fantasizing about women was just my thing, but that I'd tried it, he knew about this, and that I just couldn't handle a vagina that wasn't my own. It wasn't a pleasurable experience for me. He never apologized and I didn't push the matter, we just sort of stopped talking about it, and I thought things were getting better. Except now he is just constantly hitting me with passive comments. That girl is hot, are you going to think about her tonight when we have sex? So, are you in the mood for me or your dildo tonight? Don't have too much fun with yourself today. It's constant and I keep telling him to knock it off, but he won't. It's like it's eating away at him, he's clearly very bothered about it still. How do I approach this with him? I've even suggested mutual masturbation together or for him to use my toys on me to make him feel better. Where does this insecurity come from and how do I help him get over it? I'm not going to apologize for masturbating or stop, so he can forget that. Sorry, but my body, my fantasies, my right. He's out of luck there. He can't get over it and is still very upset. This just seems crazy, but it's really driving a wedge between us and it actually feels like he might never let this go. Any advice on how to settle this or how to approach the situation differently? I'm at a loss. Edit, thanks for all the awesome suggestions and replies. I will put them to good use. I think it's time for a serious sit down with the boyfriend. I will post an update soon to let you all know how it goes. Relevant comments. Comment, my girlfriend could masturbate 4 times a day and it wouldn't bother me as long as it didn't affect our sex life together. The dude was hiding some high levels of insecurity. Comment, boyfriend seeing you enjoy yourself without him triggered his insecurities around inadequacy. He now feels as though he isn't enough for you or that other people can give you something he cannot. He's totally acting irrationally and I totally agree it is frustrating for him to be like this. That said, if you want things to go back to normal, you need to talk to him, reassure him of his value to you, brush his ego a little bit, and then have enthusiastic sex with him. I think he just wants to feel special in some way, and previous to this incident he felt he was special because he could provide his dick for your pleasure. Now that he sees you don't necessarily need it, he feels worthless sexually. Again, I know it sounds irrational, because it is. But sometimes emotions like this are irrational given the circumstances. Make him feel desired, make him feel special, and I think this will pass. Update. A few days after I posted originally, I told him we needed to talk. I told him that his constant little digs about my sexuality were unacceptable and hurtful. My previously level-headed and sweet boyfriend reacted hostilely and defensively immediately. He told me to stop bringing it up because he had every right to be pissed. I asked him to explain his reasoning behind that. His reasoning. 1. If I was satisfied with him, I wouldn't need to do that. 2. He didn't realize I was a size queen. I'm not at all, but he guessed he was wrong and he couldn't compete with my toys. 3. I must want to be with girls if I look at lesbian porn. 4. I would be mad if he jerked it to dicks. I kept my voice calm, but I was getting super frustrated. I told him that I was perfectly satisfied with him and his size, but that masturbation is a chance to be intimate with yourself and to fantasize about anything you want to. That it is normal and healthy. I also told him very seriously that I would not be mad if he jerked it to dicks, and that I would realize it was a fantasy, and that even if he was bisexual or something, there is nothing wrong with that, and I would never be mad at him for his sexuality. Nothing I said calmed him down. He was so defensive. It was honestly like I wasn't even talking to my boyfriend. It ended with him saying that he didn't realize who I was and storming off and locking himself in our computer room. We didn't talk much for a couple of days, and he was super snappy and tried picking fights a couple of times. Finally, he broke with me. I told him these were his options. Get over it so we can move on together, or don't, and we can move on separately. He said, well, I guess now you're single and can screw as many vaginas and gigantic dicks as you want. I just said I guess so, and that it made me sad that he would end things over this. He told me that I caused the situation and had to accept the consequences. It wasn't funny, but I almost laughed. Because the only one who made a situation out of it was him. I didn't laugh or say much of anything. We slept in separate rooms that night, and he started moving out the next day. 3 years over just like that. It's been a couple of weeks, and we haven't spoken more than just a few words when we have to about bills or things we have to separate. I'm okay. The whole thing just seems crazy to me. I'm not a marriage person, but I thought he was my forever person. But he let insecurity get in the way. Nothing I can do about that. I'm assuming this struck a nerve to a much deeper-rooted issue for him. I'm sad, but dusting myself off and carrying on. My big, vein a dildo and I will go right off into the sunset together. Relevant comments. Comment. I'm imagining a conversation where someone asks why you broke up and he says, caught her masturbating. After an awkward pause, other person says, and. With a completely puzzled expression. OP. I'd say you're right about that. I've told my closest friends the reason and their reactions have all been, what in the actual hell? A male friend didn't believe me at first because he just couldn't wrap his mind around that being a cause for a breakup. I'd love to be a fly on the wall though if he does actually tell his friends the truth about why. Comment. A buddy of mine actually did the same thing to his year-long girlfriend. The thing is he actually had been secretly wrestling with wanting to try and be single and slowly growing apart, but not wanting to accept it. When he found a seemingly inconsequential thing to pick a fight about, he took it and used it as a way out in the exact same method here, making her action the reason they separated, keeping his wish of being single and keeping his conscience clean because it was her fault.